Tonight we've got an extra special program for you. Let me begin by welcoming you to this legacy of change, Excellence Unleashed. Everyone please welcome the president of Prince George's Community College, Dr. Charlene Dukes.
These elder visionaries and their young contemporaries have immense wisdom and insight to share about the challenges they face, the obstacles they've overcome, and their continued pursuit of excellence. The chair of the board of directors of the National Visionary Leadership Project, the one and the only Dr. Janetta B. Cole.
The National Visionary Leadership Project chronicles the lives of accomplished African American elders, visionaries who shaped the 20th century. These intergenerational conversations are moderated by Dr. Camille Cosby.
Dr. Robert Moses, what kind of proactive strategies can be implemented to counter the racist tactics of unscrupulous politicians and their private and corporate donors to protect our human rights?
What's before the Supreme Court now, the enforcement provision of the Voting Rights Act, we didn't get that because we marched. We got that because of all these court cases.
Dr. Elders, what is the connection between your upbringing and your advocacy for children?
I started out wanting something better for my sisters and brothers. I thought about how hard they worked to get bus fare for me to go to college. They picked cotton to earn $3.42 for bus fare for me to go to Philander Smith College. I made a decision at that time that if I ever got out of the cotton patch, that I would help all of my sisters and brothers.
Ms. St. John, what motivated you to achieve educationally, athletically, and professionally?
I love that this is the visionary project, that it's really about dreams. My mother was an English teacher, so we had books in every room in the house. And I read in books I could dream of traveling and seeing the world and doing interesting things. And that's what I wanted to do. So it was a book that led me to skiing.
Malcolm Jamal Warner, please tell us about any negative peer pressures from males and or females that you might have experienced during your years on The Cosby Show because of your positive characterization of a black male.
I would get teased for like being, he's an all-American boy. You can be positive and still be cool. You can still be a nice guy and still be cool.
The Honorable David Dinkins, you established the Beacon Schools. Please describe the Beacon Schools and what you hoped to accomplish for children.
It was illogical not to use the bricks and mortar that were there anyway. And so we determined that we were going to use schools after the usual hours of instruction. And we did. We found the money to fund programs that were designed and run by the community, children and their families, but paid for by the city. And they are elsewhere in this nation today because of what those folks did.
Ms. Applewhite, how do you see a formal education transforming your life and that of your son?
Me doing well in school has encouraged my own child to do well in school. And so now I don't have to argue with him about getting homework done or anything like that. He comes right in the house and gets to it because he sees his mother doing that.
Ms. Palmer, what is the impetus for you to pursue a formal education?
My father worked for the embassy, so my family migrated here in the early 70s. So I was about 6 months old and my sister was 2 years old, and we came to this country. So initially I knew that coming to this country, that there was so much more that my family wanted for me and my sister. That included a better way of life, and that included a better education.
Dr. Elders, how did you feel to stand your ground when you were publicly and severely criticized about your views pertaining to sexual health?
I felt very strongly that the best way to prevent poverty is through education. And I thought the most common cause of poverty in our country was children becoming parents before they became adults. And I didn't worry about how I felt. I felt that the things I was doing was important and that they made a difference. And you know, I'm very proud to say that teenage pregnancy, and we still have the highest teenage pregnancy rate in the industrialized world, but teenage pregnancy dropped 45% since that time, and I'm proud about that.
That's right. Mr. Dinkins, was there ever a traditional family unit in most homes of not only African Americans, but of all Americans? Or is this our country's myth?
I am able to say to young people today who say, oh, well, I only have a father or I only have a mother, I tell them, I said, well, hell, I was a product of a, quote, broken home. I managed to survive.
Also, you look at the importance of just this organization, the National Visionary Leadership Project. I mean, just the concept of having, you know, someplace that you can go and you can actually hear from, you know, these visionaries, these elders' mouths. You hear their personal stories.
I have some of your questions here on these cards. Our first question is for you, Mr. Robert Moses. Being so heavily involved in the civil rights movement, can you tell us how you felt when Barack Obama was elected President of the United States?
I was in there rooting for Barack, right? Like all of our family. I did not think that would mean that the situation would change for most black people in this country. And I think, unfortunately, that's still true.
What do you say to people who don't think they can succeed?
How do you measure success? You know, it depends on what you're doing. One of the things that my mother always taught me and always said, she says, always do your best. That's good enough. I really do feel I always did my best. Even as your Surgeon General, I may not have turned out like you may have wanted me to turn out, but I wanted you to know I did the very best job that I knew how to do. And if I knew I had to do it all over again, starting tonight, I would do it the same way.
Thank you, Dr. Ellis.